Alhamdulillah. All right, so we're just at the end of Al-Ismul Mawsul. So the author, may Allah have mercy on him, he has a few more details he wants to give us. And we're going to skip a little bit of that too, inshallah. And so he says, وَشِبْهُ الْجُمْلَةِ ثَلَاثَةُ أَشْيَاء. The phrase is three things. So what's he talking about? So we're talking about al-ismul mawsul, such as alladhi, he who, or the one who, which is not a pronoun. Yani, it's not a dhamir. And we said that this type of noun, it needs a connector, a sila. The sila, which is usually going to be a sentence. Like, first here, let me give him a verb in front of him. Ja'a alladhi. So ja'a. Came. Who came? Alladhi. He who. He who. He's the one who came. He who. Alladhi. Ja'a alladhi. He who came. That's incomplete. So how are we going to complete that? With a connector, like a sentence. Ja'a alladhi qama abuhu. Ja'a alladhi qama abuhu. He who his father stood came. He's the one who came. He's who came. And this sentence has to have in it a'id, self-referential pronoun that goes back to the relative nominal. And it's possible in some structures to omit that pronoun. We talked about that last week. So that's the sila. The sila is the connector. It has in it a pronoun that goes back. Okay. So what's the sila? What can it be? What is it? So we said it's going to be a jumla fi'liya, verbal sentence like this one here. Ja'a alladhi qama abuhu. He who his father stood came. That's verbal sentence. Past tense, qama, stood. You could say yaqumu. He who his father stands came. Or it could be jumla ismiya, nominal sentence, like abuhu qa'im, abuhu qa'imun. His father's a stander. His father's a stander. There's no verb there. Yani, except is. His father is. You have to have a verb in an English sentence. But in the Arabic, there's no verb there. Abuhu qa'im. His father's a stander. Ja'a alladhi abuhu qa'im. He who his father's a stander came. But we wouldn't really say it like that. So it means his father's standing. But I wanted to translate it so that it's like there's no verb in there. And so from here, Ibn Hisham is going. He wants to tell us what else can be this sila, this connector, for this deficient noun. So he says, وَشِبْهُ الْجُمْلَةِ, and the likes of a sentence, yani a phrase. What's the likes of a sentence? Yani, what's a phrase? Or even likes of a sentence for what he's going to say. Likes of a sentence is even better than phrase for what he's going to say. But phrase is nice, except one spot we're going to see. وَشِبْهُ الْجُمْلَةِ, so a loose translation, a phrase, but there's something else too. When we say phrase, means a group of words, but not a complete sentence necessarily. ثَلَاثَةُ أَشْيَاء, there's three of them, three things. الظرف, the envelope. The envelope. What's that? That is the pocket of time or the place. It's the place or a pocket of time. Yani, or could be a status too. But basically though, it's a time or a place. Zarf. The envelope. An envelope of time, an envelope of place. naHw, such as الذي عندك. يعني جاء الذي, we want to. جاء الذي عندك. He who, so عندك basically means with you. With you. So that's a phrase, with you. That's not a complete sentence. He who's with you came, without saying any verb though in the Arabic. He who with you, yani who is with you, came. So that's the phrase there. Zarf. Zarf what? Zarf makan. It's a place, a space. And there's all sorts of words like that. We'll come back to that insha'Allah ta'ala. This is what I'll call prepositional nominal. Prepositional nominal. It's not harf jar, but harf jar is going to translate into an English preposition. Zarf is going to translate into an English preposition. But zarf is not a particle. It's a noun. So I'm going to call it prepositional particle, or even possibly a prepositional noun. So those are two different chapters in Arabic. Al-zarf, the pocket of time or place, which is a noun, and the harf jar, prepositional particle. Yes, though closely related. That's how they both got translated into the same chapter in English. In meaning and in function are closely related. Excuse me, but when you apply the signs of an ism and the signs of a fi'l and the signs of a harf, which is that the harf doesn't have a sign, then you're going to come up with the zarf being a noun, not a particle. If you follow that same reasoning, if you assume that what's true in Arabic is true in English here, then you'll be able to split the English chapter of prepositions into two chapters. One for nouns, and it works actually, and one for particles. So, al-zarf, that's another thing that can be the sila. And the implication here is huwa. Alladhi indak huwa. Indak. He is with you. Wal-jar wal-majroor. And another thing that can be the sila, the connector for the Arabic relative noun, is a prepositional phrase. Yani harf jar, al-jar, the prepositional particle, wal-majroor, and what it governs. Yani the object of the preposition. The majroor, al-jar, what's meant here by al-jar is the prepositional particle. You know those. All the way from the beginning, and from the beginning of al-ajurumiyah, min wa ila wa an wa ala wa fi wa rubba, etc. So that's what's meant by jar here. But really the word jar is broader. If you're following, then you can see how really the word jar is broader than just the harf jar. Because jar, it means what makes something majroor. The jar is what makes something majroor. Now let me ask you, what else can make a word majroor besides a harf jar? What else has the power, the amal, the activity to make a word majroor besides a harf jar? Okay, you said idafa. That's a close answer. You're smoking hot. But is the idafa a word? Is it one word? Is it a part of speech? Is idafa a part of speech? I'm looking for a part of speech. There's 3 parts of speech in Arabic. Has to be a noun, yes. Which is what? The mudaf. That's why you're smoking hot. Yes. The mudaf, which is going to be a noun, an ism, it has the power to make another ism majroor. Yani the ism amongst the agents of jar is the ism itself. Sometimes the ism makes another word majroor. That's its function, its power, its amal, its activity. That's when it's going to be a mudaf. And then the next word is mudaf ilayhi. So then, if the ism is making the mudaf ilayhi majroor, that means that this ism is what? A jar. But that's not meant here when he says al-jar wal-majroor. Here he means, in particular, the prepositional particle. And the majroor is what was put into the state of jar by that prepositional particle, meaning the object of the preposition. naHw, such as alladhi fi dar. So if we put a verb there, I'll put a different verb. Keep saying ja'a. Let's say, for example, salla. Salla. Salla alladhi fi dar. He who is in the house prayed. يعني هو في الدار. صلى الذي هو في الدار. So there's no verb there. But something should click for you there, which we're going to talk about. Really, it should be, if you're understanding, that you know there's a verb there, though. You should know there's a verb there, really. Did anyone know that? Were you like in your heart saying, there should really be a verb there? We'll come back to it, inshallah. It's like when you say Bismillah, don't we say there needs to be a verb? In the name of Allah. Yani, I recite in the name of Allah. I start in the name of Allah. Something. وَالصِّفَةُ الصَّرِيحَةُ. And the third thing that can be the sila is the explicit adjective. Or a plain adjective. A plain adjective. Yani, a straightforward adjective, which we talked about, and that's what he's going to say. وَذَلِكَ فِي صِلَةِ al. That's the case for, that's what's going to be the connector for al. So you know that this al, that's a noun right there. That's not the al that crossed the mind of a beginner. This al is exclusive to those straightforward adjectives. So that's why he says, وَذَلِكَ فِي صِلَةِ al, meaning exclusively this one here. Nothing more. وَقَدْ تَقَدَّمَ شَرْحُهُ. And the explanation of that has already come. So we don't have to repeat it. And we're not going to repeat it here. It's going to be your duty to study that information. So he says something here that I want to skip. This paragraph, although it is important, but I don't think you need it urgently. So then he says, وَإِذَا وَقَعَ الظَّرْفُ وَالْجَارُ وَالْمَجْرُورُ صِلَةً. And when the envelope and the prepositional phrase fall as a connector, here he says it, كَانَ مُتَعَلِّقَيْنِ بِفِعْلٍ مَحْذُوفٍ وُجُوبًا. They would both be linked to a verb that's omitted necessarily they would both be linked to a necessarily omitted verb. تقديره استقر. And the interpretation of that verb is consistently istaqar. That means existed, basically. Istaqarra, or what means istaqarra. Doesn't have to be that word, but means existence. This is an important case here. Now, let's remove the bismillah, the relative noun for now. Let's remove the relative noun for now. Let's focus on the mere phrase, and let's see what's happening here. If you say a zarf, like fawq, above, or tahat, below, or any of the 6 directions, or what's like that. There's a number of them. This is an ism. It's not preposition. Yani, it's not a particle. It's not a particle. I won't say it's not a preposition, but it's not a particle. How do we know this is ism? Because has signs of ism, could possibly take tanween. And also, if you say, let's say, fawq al-ard, over the earth, al-ardi, that means fawq is a mudaf, that means it's an ism, mudaf and mudaf ilayhi. So that's an ism for sure. Some prepositions in English, you could put them in a genitive construction. That's how I knew that some of them were nouns. Not all of them are actually particles. That's where they mix them. The ones that you can put into a genitive construction, those are nouns, really. So, okay, that's zarf. Could be time or place. Yani, like, qabl, before. That could be a time or a place. Okay. Now, what about these prepositional particles? So, for example, let's use a different color here. Min. So you say, for example, min al-ardi, from the earth. Min al-ardi. That's a particle there. Min, that's not a noun. Fawq al-ardi, that first word is a noun. Min al-ardi, that first word is a particle. Al-ardi in the first one, fawq al-ardi, that's a mudaf ilayhi. Min al-ardi in the second one, al-ard is ism majroor. Okay, so if we take these 2 examples I just gave you here, you can see if I just leave those as they are not complete. So it's not kalam. Over the earth, from the earth. Okay. So then, what makes them complete? A verb makes them complete. Long story short, a verb. They need a verb to link to. So you say, for example, let's say, Tara, he flew. Tara fawq al-ardi. He flew over the earth, or over the ground. Tara. Min al-ardi. Yani, let's say, Ja'a min al-ardi. He or it came from the earth. And what the particle is doing is it's being a circuit, connecting the verb to the noun. Okay, so that's why we say the basmalah. When you say bismillah, if you're reciting the Quran, the tafsir of Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim is I recite in the name of Allah. And if you're just doing some deed and you say Bismillah, then your verb in your heart might be I start in the name of Allah. Or it might be whatever you're actually doing. I read, I sleep, I whatever in the name of Allah. I exercise in the name of Allah. So that's why I was saying to you, if you really understand now, if it should click for you, it should be in your heart, even if it wasn't like in your face. That when we say جاء الذي في الدار, جاء الذي عندك, there should be bridge there for you, which is a verb. He says, كان متعلقين بفعل محذوف وجوبا. They would both be this ظرف, this pocket or envelope, and this prepositional phrase in particular, so not the adjective. These two, they would be linked to an omitted verb. So the fact that there's a verb, that's clear. Wujuban, necessarily. You must omit this verb. Why? So are you saying to me I can't say جاء الذي, here, blow that up and let me make this clear. I can't say جاء الذي طار فوق الأرض. Doesn't that work? جاء الذي طار فوق الأرض. So he who flew over the earth came. Yeah, that works. So why would it be necessary to omit the verb? What does that mean? So this is very important mas'ala here. This is mas'ala called al-kawn al-am. That means general existence. General existence. Versus al-kawn al-khas. Particular existence. Meaning, when you say, and let's still leave out the relative noun here. If you say Zaydun fi dar, Zaydun fi dar. Zayd, I need a verb in English to translate, is in the house. Zayd is in the house. So what's he doing there? Is he sleeping? Or what? Is he eating? Is he praying? What? Is he even alive? Or is he dead in the house? So when you say it like this, it means existing. That's it. Okay. So why can't we say then mawjudun? Well, that's a noun. Why can't we say istaqarra? The one he said is, it means istaqarra. Why can't we say zaydun istaqarra fi dar, or zaydun wujida, or yujad zaydun yujadu fi dar? He's existing there because you don't have to. What else he's going to be? So when you're talking about just the general existence, then you don't say it. You don't say in Arabic, Zayd is existing in the house. Unless, you could say it when there's a point to mentioning that. If there's a point to mentioning his existence in particular, then you would mention it. But if there's no point, then you don't mention it. You're supposed to, you have to omit that. You don't say Zaydun istaqarra fi dar. So, but if you mean any special particular existence or mode of existence, meaning a particular act, then you have to say it, or else there's no way else to know it. So if what you mean is he's eating, then you have to say eating, or else there's no way to know that. Or sleeping, or praying, or whatever. So then, now let me take off Zayd here. And let's say here, Ja'a alladhi Fidal. That sentence is fine. But this fidal, which is the sila, really, the sila is a sentence, which is yujad, for example, which means istaqarra, yastaqirru. Istaqarra is the past tense. You can say the present, yastaqirru, either way. You say yujad, wujida. But if you say a noun, then that has other implications. If you say Zaydun mustaqirrun that's a noun, he's an existent one, he's present, he's a present one, that has other implications. Here, he's not going there. So he says, what's intended is a verb, istaqarra, or what means istaqarra. Okay, so I think that's clear. What I found interesting also when I looked into what the English grammarians say, what I found that they said is that whenever defining the prepositional particle, the preposition, I always found them say it is a word that links or relates. It's a word that relates a word in a sentence to another word in a sentence. So it's like they don't really know what to say because something's not clear there from what I found. So maybe some of them said that, but I looked in more than one spot. Because first of all, what is linking what to linking a word in a sentence to another word in a sentence? What does that's so open? It is in particular is linking the noun to a verb. The noun to a verb in particular in English. I never found otherwise. So this is what I knew from learning naHw. So then when I did it, I checked if it's like that in English. That's what I found. And then when I looked to see if the grammarians say that, I didn't find them say that. So that's weird. And then not just that, because it could be any verb, right? This prepositional particle links the noun to a verb. So, okay. But not just that, but if you say in English, for example, Zaid, oh man, I'll just do it right here. If you say in English, Zaid is in the house. So here, it links to is. Is the verb of existence. So yeah, this is the verb of existence, the verb to be. Is means exists. Zaid exists in the house. That is the verb of existence there. I was going to say something, but no, I'm not going to say it now. So just that. That's what they missed. Zaid, because you have to have verb of existence at the very least in English, if nothing else. The verb to be, yani. So, Zaid exists in the house. Zaid plays in the house. Zaid prays in the house, eats in the house, etc. All right, so then Ibn Hisham says, وَالضَّمِيرُ الَّذِي كَانَ مُسْتَتِرًا فِي الْفِعْلِ انتقل منه إليهما. The pronoun that was veiled in the verb, because when you say istaqarra means huwa. Istaqarra huwa. The pronoun that was veiled in the verb transfers from the verb to those phrases. When that phrase becomes the sila, it's like he just borrows that verb's pronoun. He'll hold it there. So the meaning is huwa fi dar. And the huwa here is not the mubtada. Huwa here is the doer of the verb. It's a different meaning. If that's clear for you. Because you have jumla ismiya, jumla fi'liya. So you say huwa qa'im. So huwa is mubtada. Qa'im is khabar, subject and predicate. If you say qama, then it means qama huwa. He stood. Qama huwa. So istaqarra huwa. So that's fa'il. That's not mubtada. So when you say ja'a alladhi fi dar, so fi dar took huwa from istaqarra. Not huwa, that's a mubtada. And also if it were the zarf with its mudaf ilayhi or without mudaf ilayhi, then it will take the verb's pronoun. MashaAllah. Wallahu a'lam. We'll stop there. Do you have any question I can answer for you? Would I define kaun am and kaun khas? I don't have a particular definition in memory, but the meaning is al-kaun al-am is mere existence. Existence without some other. It's not any particular act over another act. That's what it means. It's not one act over another act. Al-kawn al-khas, that's with a kaf. Al-kawn al-khas from kawn, kaf, wow, noon. Being. That's one act over another act. So that's to say sleeping, eating, playing, etc. Fighting. MashaAllah. So we'll stop there, and then inshallah next week, if Allah allows, then we will continue. We'll start talking about the definite article. If you want to call it an article. If you want, you could call it a particle, the definite particle. What they call in English the definite article. Wallahu a'lam.